Ladies and gentlemen, I must confess something to you. There was a time when I believed in lack. I believed that some men were destined for wealth and others for poverty. That the universe distributed its gifts according to some mysterious lottery I could not understand. I watched the rich grow richer and the poor grow poorer. And I accepted this as the natural order of things. I was wrong. Profoundly, completely wrong. My teacher Abdullah showed me the truth. And what he showed me changed everything I thought I knew about money, about fortune, about the very nature of reality itself. He showed me that I was not a victim of circumstance. I was the operant power. The conditions of my life were not happening to me. They were happening through me. The moment I stopped begging God for things and began assuming the feeling of already having them, everything changed. Not gradually, not incrementally, dramatically, completely. The same law that transformed my life is available to you tonight. The only question is whether you will use it or continue purchasing lottery tickets with your hope instead of your imagination. You are here because something inside you knows that the conventional path to wealth has failed you. Perhaps you have worked hard your entire life. Perhaps you have saved diligently, denied yourself small pleasures, done everything the world told you to do. Perhaps you have prayed for abundance, hoped for a breakthrough, even played the lottery week after week, crossing your fingers and wishing upon numbers. And still true wealth eludes you. The financial freedom you dream of remains just that, a dream. The world has conditioned you to believe that fortune is distributed by external forces. It has taught you that wealth comes from hard work, from lucky breaks, from being in the right place at the right time, from having the winning ticket called. But I am here to tell you tonight that none of this is true. Not one word of it. The pain you carry around money is not really about money at all. It is about your concept of yourself. Deep within your consciousness, in that secret place where you hold your most fundamental beliefs about who you are and what you deserve, you have accepted a state that says, I am one who lacks. You may not have said these words aloud. You may not even be consciously aware that you hold this belief. But your life tells the story. Your bank account tells the story. Your constant worry about bills, about the future, about whether there will be enough. All of this tells the story of the state you have been occupying. And from that state of lack, you can take no action, purchase no ticket, make no investment that will permanently alter your circumstances. You might win a little here and there. You might get a raise or find money on the street, but as long as you remain in the state of lack, you will always return to lack. This is not punishment. This is law. The outer world faithfully reflects the inner world. This is not metaphor or poetry. This is the law of your being. Most people believe that wealth is something they must get. They imagine themselves reaching toward it, working toward it, moving toward it as if it were a destination on a distant shore. This is the fundamental error that keeps humanity in bondage. Wealth is not something you get. It is something you become. And you become it not through action, not through effort, not through lucky numbers, but through assumption. The feeling of the wish fulfilled, not the wish itself, is the creative power. You have been wishing for wealth while feeling lack. And feeling, my friend, is the secret What I am about to share with tonight is not a technique for winning the lottery. It is far more valuable than that. I am going to show you how to become the kind of person to whom fortune flows naturally, not because of luck, not because of chance, but because of law. You will learn how the Bible, properly understood as a psychological drama rather than a historical document, reveals the exact mechanism by which consciousness creates reality. You will discover why the simple phrase, "Isn't it wonderful?" carries more creative power than any affirmation you have ever spoken, any prayer you have ever offered, any ritual you have ever performed. And you will understand, perhaps for the first time in your life, why your inner speech, those private conversations you hold with yourself in the secret chambers of your mind, has been building the world you see around you all along. Here is what the world will never tell you. The wealthy are not wealthy because they are lucky. They are not wealthy because they work harder than you. They are not wealthy because they were born into the right family, or went to the right schools, or knew the right people. The wealthy are wealthy because they occupy a state of consciousness in which wealth is natural. They do not hope for abundance. They feel themselves to be abundant. They do not chase money. Money chases them. They do not worry about whether there will be enough. They assume there will always be more than enough. And this has nothing to do with positive thinking, which is merely cosmetic. This has to do with the deep felt assumption of already being that which you desire to be. There is a world of difference between thinking positively about wealth and feeling yourself to be wealthy. One is decoration, the other is creation. The 100 lottery ticket is a perfect symbol for this teaching. Think about what that ticket represents. The world says, "Give me your dollar. Give me your hope." And maybe by pure chance, by the random selection of numbered balls in a machine, you will receive millions. It is an invitation to believe in chance. It is an agreement to hand over your creative power to external forces. But the law says something entirely different. The law says, assume the feeling of already being wealthy. Persist in that assumption until it feels as natural to you as breathing. And the bridge of incidents will unfold to manifest that state in ways you cannot predict, in ways you could never have planned. You do not need to win a lottery. You need to become the consciousness of fortune. And that is precisely what I'm going to teach you tonight. By the end of our time together, you will stop begging. You will stop hoping. You will stop treating wealth as something external that must be attracted or earned or won. You will understand that you are the operant power, that the entire drama of your financial life has been written by your own assumptions, produced by your own consciousness, enacted upon the stage of your own world. And you will know exactly how to change those assumptions. Not through effort, not through strain, not through gritting your teeth and forcing yourself to believe. Through the simple, persistent feeling of the wish fulfilled. But before I give you the practical application of this law, you must first understand where you are. You must see clearly the prison your assumptions have built. Only then can you walk out of it. So let me tell you what happens when a man finally sees that he has been the author of his own poverty. A man came to one of my lectures many years ago. He was a small business owner, or rather he had been. When he walked into that room, He was on the verge of complete financial ruin. His auditors had examined his books and told him to close his doors. His accounts receivable were nearly empty. The recession had hit his industry hard, and customers who used to place orders had disappeared. He owed thousands of dollars that he could not pay. His friends told him to accept reality. His advisors told him to salvage what he could and move on. Everything in the outer world screamed at him that it was over. But something in this man refused to surrender. He had attended my lectures before. He had heard me speak of the law of assumption. He had nodded along, found it interesting, perhaps even believed it in theory, but he had never truly tested it. Now, with his back against the wall and nowhere else to turn, he decided he would put everything I had taught him to the test. He had nothing left to lose. For 3 days, this man sat in his office and imagined. He did not try to figure out how his business would be saved. He did not make phone calls or send letters or knock on doors. He simply sat and imagined his office receiving $4,000 in unexpected remittances. He did not know where this money could possibly come from. His receivables were nearly non-existent. There were no pending orders, no outstanding invoices that would suddenly be paid. By every rational measure, there was no source for this money. But he persisted in the imaginal act. He saw the checks on his desk. He felt the relief of solvency. He heard himself telling his wife that everything had turned around. He lived in that feeling, inhabited that state, and refused to let the outer world convince him it was fantasy. On the 4th morning, something happened. A customer he had not heard from in months called him on the telephone. This customer asked him to bring a quotation that was many months old, a dead lead by any reasonable assessment. The quotation had been given and forgotten. But this man gathered his papers and went to that meeting, and within days he closed a deal that exceeded everything he had imagined. The $4,000 he had seen in his imagination manifested not through luck, not through coincidence, but through a bridge of incidents that his consciousness had constructed. Now, I want you to understand something about this story. This man did not attract that customer. He did not send out some mystical signal that drew a buyer to him. What happened was far more profound than attraction. This man became the state of a businessman whose affairs were prospering. He occupied that state so completely that the outer world had no choice but to rearrange itself to match his inner reality. The customer who called the old quotation that suddenly became relevant. The deal that closed all of this was the externalization of an inner state. It was not luck. It was law. And here is what moves me most about this story. Before his transformation, this man had known about the law. He had heard me teach it. He had even believed it in a theoretical way, but he had never used it. He had reserved it for some future crisis, some moment of true desperation. How many of you are doing the same thing right now? How many of you are waiting until things get truly bad before you will finally apply what you know? I say to you, do not wait. The law that saved this man's business is available to you tonight. Use it now, before the walls close in. Use it while you still have the peace of mind to practice it calmly, deliberately, without the pressure of desperation. Let me tell you another story. This one concerns a woman who attended my lectures in Los Angeles. She was 55 years old when I met her. She had no job. Her rent was overdue. Her car was falling apart, barely able to carry her from place to place. She had no family to turn to for support. Her bank account was nearly empty. By every outward measure, this woman had nothing. Or so she believed. When she first tried to apply what I taught, she made a common mistake. She sat down and tried to imagine having everything she needed. A job, a car, money for rent, proper clothes for interviews. The list went on, and by the time she had finished imagining all these things, she was exhausted. Her mind was scattered, pulled in a dozen directions at once. She could not sustain the imaginal act, because there was simply too much to imagine. This is a trap that many fall into. They try to manifest a laundry list of desires, and in doing so they dissipate their creative power across too many objects. I told her something that changed her life. I said, do not imagine the things. Imagine the feeling. Find a single phrase that captures the essence of fulfillment, and let that phrase be your meditation. I suggested to her these words. Isn't it wonderful? Just that. Not isn't it wonderful that I have a job? Not isn't it wonderful that my car is fixed? Simply, isn't it wonderful? These words contain within them the fulfillment of all desires. They do not specify how fulfillment will come. They simply affirm that it is coming, that it has already come, that something marvelous is unfolding right now in this very moment. This woman followed my instruction. Every night as she lay down to sleep, she would repeat to herself, isn't it wonderful? Something marvelous is happening to me right now. She did not know what the wonderful thing was. She did not try to guess or to direct it. She simply felt the reality of wonder, the truth of something beautiful taking shape in her life. She did this for 2 months, night after night, falling asleep in the feeling of wonderment. And then the manifestation came. It came in a way she never could have predicted, never could have planned, never could have orchestrated through her own effort. She had a casual conversation with an acquaintance, someone she had not seen in some time. That acquaintance mentioned he was taking a trip to New York. They spoke briefly of the city where she had lived many years before and then parted. She thought nothing of it. 1 month later, this acquaintance appeared at her door. He handed her a certified check for $2,500. She stared at it in disbelief. The story that unfolded was like something from a dream. This acquaintance during his trip to New York had encountered an old friend of hers by pure chance. This old friend, whom she had not seen or heard from in more than 25 years, had become enormously wealthy in the intervening decades. During their conversation, her name came up, and this wealthy old friend, for reasons she would never fully understand, decided to share a portion of his fortune with her. But that was only the beginning. Over the next 2 years, she received monthly checks from this friend's attorney, amounts so generous that they covered not only her necessities, but allowed her to enjoy all the lovely things in life she had thought were forever beyond her reach. A new car, beautiful clothes, a spacious apartment, and the best gift of all, she no longer needed to earn her daily bread through struggle and strain. Then after 2 years she received legal papers providing for this income to continue for the rest of her natural life. Now I want you to understand what happened here. This woman did not manifest a specific sum of money. She did not visualize checks arriving from a long-lost friend. She had no idea that, such a friend still existed, let alone that he had become wealthy. What she did was far simpler and far more powerful. She became the state of one to whom wonderful things naturally happen. She occupied that state so completely, so persistently that the subconscious mind, connected as it is to infinite intelligence, constructed a bridge of incidents to bring her assumption into physical reality. The casual conversation with the acquaintance, the trip to New York, the chance meeting with the old friend, the inexplicable decision to share wealth with someone not seen in a quarter century. Each of these events, seemingly unconnected, formed a perfect chain leading to her good. She did not plan this chain. She could not have planned it. Her conscious mind had no knowledge of these possibilities. But her subconscious mind had a feeling of the wish fulfilled, knew exactly how to bring it about. This is the secret I am sharing with you tonight. You do not need to know how your wealth will come. You do not need to see the path or plan the route. You need only occupy the state of the wish fulfilled. Persist in that state until it feels natural and trust that the bridge of incidents will appear. The subconscious mind knows things you do not know. It sees connections you cannot see. It will mobilize people, situations, and events across time and space to manifest your assumption. Your rational mind cannot conceive of the means. That is not its job. Its job is to select the state. The execution belongs to a deeper power. Let me now share with you a parable that illuminates this truth from another angle. You are familiar, I am sure, with the story of the sower from the scriptures. A sower goes out to plant seeds. Some fall on rocky ground and cannot take root. Some fall among thorns and are choked. But some fall on good soil, and these bring forth a harvest 30-fold, 60-fold, 100-fold. This parable is not about agriculture. It is about consciousness. It is about you, your clarified desire, your conscious claim that you are now wealthy, that abundance is natural to you, that fortune flows to you effortlessly. This is the seed. The seed contains within itself the power and plan of its own expression. But a seed held in the hand produces nothing. You can admire it, turn it over, study its potential, but until you plant it, it remains mere possibility. The planting of the seed is the assumption of the wish fulfilled. You take your desire and you bury it in the soil of your subconscious mind. This burial is accomplished through feeling. The mystics who wrote the scriptures understood this. The Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus went to pray, means literally to press out an oily substance. It is the place where seeds are pressed, where the oil of joy and thanksgiving is expressed. When you contemplate being and possessing what you desire, when you lose yourself in a state of joy and gratitude for its fulfillment, you are planting the seed. You are performing the spiritual act of creation. Once planted, the seed grows in darkness. This is crucial to understand. After you have assumed the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you do not dig up the seed you check on its progress. You do not worry whether it is growing. You do not analyze and measure and doubt. You simply trust the law. The subconscious mind knows exactly how to bring forth the harvest. It works while you sleep, while you go about your daily business, while you have forgotten entirely about the seed you planted. This is why I counsel patience and persistence. Plant the seed properly, and then leave it alone. Water it occasionally with thanksgiving, but do not disturb it with doubt. In due season, the harvest appears, and when it appears, it looks like luck to the unenlightened observer. It looks like coincidence, like being in the right place at the right time, like a fortunate accident. But you who understand the law will know the truth. You will know that the harvest is the inevitable expression of the seed. You will know that what appears as luck is actually law. The oak tree does not appear by chance. It is the destined expression of the acorn. Your wealth does not appear by chance. It is the destined expression of your assumption. Now I want to speak to you about something fundamental. I want you to understand the nature of consciousness itself and how it relates to wealth. This is not abstract philosophy. This is the practical foundation upon which everything else rests. The Bible says, "I am that I am." These are the words God spoke to Moses from the burning bush. "I am hath sent me unto you." This I am is not something separate from you. It is not a deity in the sky or a force outside yourself. The I am is your own awareness of being. It is the fact that you exist, that you are conscious, that you know yourself to be. This pure awareness is the Lord, the creator of all that you experience. Consider this. You may forget who you are. You may forget where you are. You may forget what you are. But you cannot forget that you are. This awareness of being is the one thing you can never lose. It is the foundation of your existence. And here is the secret that will transform your life. Whatever you attach to this I am becomes your reality. When you say I am poor, you are not describing an external fact. You are clothing the infinite I am in a garment of poverty. You are taking the creative power of the universe and giving it the form of lack. And the world, which is nothing more than a mirror reflecting consciousness, must show you poverty. But you can change your garments at any moment. You can take off the rag clothing of lack and put on the royal robes of abundance. When you say I am wealthy and feel the truth of it, you are clothing the I am in a new garment. You are giving form to the formless, and the world must then reflect that new form back to you. This is not wishful thinking. This is the law of consciousness, as certain and impersonal as the law of gravity. The wealthy are not wealthy because the universe favors them. The wealthy are wealthy because they have clothed their I am in the garments of abundance. They feel themselves to be wealthy. It is natural to them. It is who they are, and from that state of being they can take any action or no action at all, and wealth will find them. The poor are not poor because the universe punishes them. The poor are poor because they have clothed their I am in the garments of lack. They feel themselves to be wanting, needing, never having quite enough. And from that state of being, they can work until their bodies break, and poverty will still follow them like a shadow. The good news, the truly wonderful news, is that you are not bound to any garment. You can put on and take off these states of consciousness at will. The state you occupy is a choice. It may not feel like a choice because you have worn the same garments for so long that they seem like your skin, but they are not your skin. They are only clothing. And tonight, if you will hear me and believe me, and practice what I am teaching you, you can begin to change your garments. You can begin to become the person you were always meant to be. Let me speak now about the feeling of the wish fulfilled. For this is where so many stumble. They understand intellectually that they should assume wealth. They understand that they should feel themselves to be abundant. But when they try to do it, they encounter resistance. Their minds rebel. Their old habits of thought reassert themselves. They feel like frauds pretending to be something they are not. So, let me make this as clear as I can. There's an enormous difference between thinking of your desire and thinking from your desire. When you think of wealth, you separate yourself from it. You see it as something distant, something future, something other than what you are. You are here and wealth is there, and there is a gap between you. This kind of thinking, no matter how positive, will not bridge that gap. It actually reinforces it. But when you think from wealth, everything changes. To think from wealth is to occupy the state of wealth. Now it is to view your world from the consciousness of already having what you desire. There is no gap because you are no longer looking at wealth from the outside. You are inside it. You are it. This is what I mean by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Here is a practical way to understand this. Ask yourself, how would I feel if my wish were realized right now? Not tomorrow, not someday, but right now in this very moment. What would be the feeling in your body? What would be the tone of your thoughts? How would you carry yourself? How would you speak to others? What would your inner conversation sound like? That feeling. Not the details, not the circumstances, but the feeling itself is what you must capture and sustain. Let it fill your consciousness until it crowds all other feelings out. This is not pretending. This is not self-deception. This is the most real thing you can do, because consciousness is the only reality. When you feel yourself to be wealthy, you are wealthy. The outer manifestation is simply the delayed reflection of each inner state. The most powerful time to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the moment before you fall asleep. The feeling you carry into sleep is the command you give your subconscious mind. Your subconscious does not argue with you. It does not say, but wait, you don't actually have money in your bank account. It simply accepts whatever feeling you impress upon it, and it goes to work bringing that feeling into manifestation. This is why I tell my students, fall asleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled and let the subconscious do the rest. But the assumption must be repeated until it feels natural. At first it may seem false. It may feel like make-believe, like a game you are playing with yourself. This is normal. You have worn the garments of lack for so long that the garments of abundance feel strange on your body. But persist. Keep putting on the new garments. Keep feeling yourself to be what you desire to be. An assumption, though false if persisted in, will harden into fact. This is the law that none can break. Let me tell you something about persistence. There was a woman who wanted to manifest a specific hat. Yes, a hat. She saw a picture of it in a fashion magazine and decided to teaching on something that seemed trivial. She cut out the picture and stuck it on her mirror. She studied it carefully. Then she closed her eyes and imagined herself wearing that hat. She felt it on her head. She saw herself walking down the street in it. She did this just once. The following week, she met some friends for lunch. One of them was wearing that exact hat. They all admired it. The very next day, a package arrived at her door by special messenger. The hat was inside. Her friend had sent it with a note saying she didn't know why she had bought it in the first place. but for some reason she felt it would look better on someone else. Now, this was a small thing, a hat, but it demonstrated the law perfectly. The woman did not go out and buy a hat. She did not ask for it. She simply assumed the feeling of having it, and the bridge of incidents unfolded. Her friend's inexplicable purchase, her friend's inexplicable gift. What seemed like random generosity was actually the law of assumption working itself out. I tell you this story, not because I want you to manifest hats, but because I want you to understand that the law works on everything. Small things and large things obey the same principle. If you can manifest a hat, you can manifest a fortune. The mechanism is identical. The only difference is the content of your assumption. Now let us speak about something that trips up many who try to apply this teaching. They want to know how their desire will manifest. They want to see the path before they walk it. They want guarantees and road maps and detailed plans. But the law does not work this way. In fact, this demand to know the how is one of the greatest obstacles to manifestation. When the businessman imagined receiving 4,000, he did not know that a dormant customer would call. He could not have predicted it. When the widow fell asleep, saying, "She's it wonderful," she did not know that a casual conversation would lead to a meeting in New York that would lead to a lifetime income. She could not have orchestrated it. Had either of them tried to plan the means, they would have limited the infinite. They would have confined omnipotence to the narrow channels of their own rational minds. Your subconscious mind is connected to infinite intelligence. It knows things you do not know. It sees connections you cannot see. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are giving instructions to this infinite intelligence. You are saying, "This is the state I occupy. Make it so in the outer world." And the infinite intelligence goes to work constructing a bridge of incidents that will lead you from where you are to where you have assumed yourself to be. This bridge may include events you could never have anticipated. It may involve people you have never met. It may require you to take actions that seem unrelated to your goal. But each step on the bridge is purposeful. Each incident is part of the design. Your job is not to understand the design. Your job is to trust it. Your job is to recognize the bridge when it appears and to walk across it. When circumstances begin to shift, when unexpected opportunities arise, when people enter your life with offers and suggestions, when doors open that were previously closed, recognize these as your bridge. Do not dismiss them as coincidence. Coincidence is simply the word we use when we do not understand causation. But you who understand the law know that there is no coincidence. There is only the externalization of your inner assumptions. And when you recognize the bridge, cross it. Recognition alone is not enough. The law has done its part. Now you must do yours. If an opportunity presents itself, take it. If a door opens, walk through it. If someone offers you a hand, grasp it. This is not contradicting the principle of assumption. This is completing it. The assumption creates the opportunity. Your action seizes it. Let me now speak directly about the one lottery ticket, since that is what has brought us together tonight. I use this image because it perfectly represents the worldly approach to wealth. You give your dollar, you receive your ticket, you wait and hope that random chance will favor you. Millions of people do this every week, and almost all of them walk away with nothing. The odds are against them. The mathematics is merciless, and yet they continue to play because they do not know any other way. But I say to you, there is another lottery. There is a lottery of assumption. And in this lottery, everyone who plays wins. Everyone who assumes the feeling of the wish fulfilled and persists in that assumption receives their prize. Not by chance, not by luck, by law. The external lottery operates on mathematical probability. Millions enter, one wins. The internal lottery operates on certainty. Everyone who assumes wins. The question is not, will it work? The question is, will you assume? Will you actually do what I am teaching you, or will you nod along? Find it interesting and then go back to hoping and wishing and crossing your fingers. That lottery ticket in your pocket represents hope. But hope is not assumption. Hope is doubt wearing a smile. When you hope, you are acknowledging that you do not have. You are confessing lack. You are saying, maybe if I am lucky someday I will have what I desire. But when you assume there is no maybe, there is no someday, there is only now, you feel yourself to be wealthy now. You are wealthy now. The outer manifestation will follow as surely as the shadow follows the body. I want you to understand something about the people who win lotteries in the conventional sense. Every jackpot winner occupied at some point the state of wealth. Perhaps briefly, perhaps unconsciously, perhaps in a daydream or a moment of playful fantasy, but they touched that state and the law responded. Most of them do not understand what they did. They attribute their winnings to luck. They thank fortune or fate or God, as if these were external forces that favored them over millions of others. But there are no such forces. There is only the law of assumption, operating as impersonally as gravity. This is why so many lottery winners end up broke again within a few years. They manifested the money without changing their state of consciousness. They remained at their core people who felt themselves to be poor, and that state persisted and gradually reclaimed them. The money flowed out as mysteriously as it had flowed in because their assumption was still one of lack. They were wearing the garments of poverty underneath their new clothes. If you want lasting wealth, if you want abundance that remains and grows and becomes a permanent feature of your life, you must change your state. You must become wealthy in consciousness before you can be wealthy. In fact, and when you become wealthy in consciousness, the manifestation that follows will be durable. It will be yours because it is you. So stop investing in hope. Start investing in assumption. The ticket that wins every time is not paper. It is not purchased at a convenience store. It is your consciousness wearing the garment of the wish fulfilled. It is your imagination clothing the I am in abundance. It is you falling asleep tonight in the feeling of already being what you desire to be. Now let me teach you the practical method. Everything I have said so far has been preparation. It has been designed to shift your understanding, to loosen the grip of old beliefs, to open your mind to a new possibility. But understanding alone does not transform. You must act on what you understand. You must apply the law. So let me give you exact instructions. First, you must prepare your state. Find a place where you will not be disturbed. This may be your bedroom at night or a quiet room during the day, or any space where you can be alone with your imagination. Sit or lie comfortably. Let your body become still. Physical immobility is a powerful aid to concentration. It allows you to withdraw your attention from the outer world and focus it entirely within. Next, induce what I call the drowsy state. This is the borderland between waking and sleeping. That delicious moment when your limbs grow heavy and your thoughts begin to soften. You are still conscious enough to direct your attention, but relaxed enough that your senses have dulled. The outer world has receded. You are alone with your imagination. This state is precious because in it the subconscious mind is most receptive. It is the gateway through which your assumptions pass into manifestation. Now clarify your desire. What is it you truly want? I do not mean the list of things, the car, the house, the bank account. I mean the essence. What does wealth mean to you? Is it security? Is it freedom? Is it the ability to help others? Is it the joy of never worrying about money again? Find the core feeling beneath the specifics. This is what you will assume next. Construct a simple scene that implies your desire is already realized. Perhaps you see yourself being congratulated by a friend. I'm so happy for you. They say your life has completely changed. Perhaps you see yourself looking at a bank statement that shows abundance. Perhaps you hear yourself speaking to a loved one about how wonderful things have become. Choose one simple scene, not an elaborate movie, but a brief, vivid moment that implies your wish is fulfilled. Now enter the scene. This is the crucial step. Do not watch the scene as if it were a film playing on a screen in front of you. Be in the scene. See through your own eyes. Hear through your own ears. Feel with your own hands. If someone is congratulating you, feel the warmth of their embrace or the pressure of their handshake. If you are looking at a bank statement, feel the paper between your fingers. If you are speaking to a loved one, feel the vibration of your own voice in your throat. Engage all of your senses. Make the scene as vivid as reality. Make it as real as any memory you hold of an event that actually happened. The sensory vividness is what gives the assumption its power. It is what convinces the subconscious mind that this is real, that this has happened, that this is you. Now loop the scene. Repeat it over and over like a brief clip playing on a continuous loop. Do not strain, do not force. Let it unfold with ease. Each repetition deepens the impression. Each repetition makes the assumption more natural. You are wearing the new garments, getting used to how they feel, allowing them to become your own. As you repeat the scene, notice the feeling it produces. This is the most important part. The scene is merely a means to an end. The end is the feeling. What feeling arises as you live this scene in your imagination? Is it relief? Is it joy? Is it a quiet sense of rightness? A feeling of course, this is how my life is now. Whatever the feeling is, let it saturate your consciousness. Let it fill you completely. Let it become more real than the physical room where your body rests. If you are doing this at night, let yourself drift into sleep while holding this feeling. Do not try to stay awake. The feeling you fall asleep in is the command you give your subconscious. It will work while you sleep, constructing the bridge of incidents that will bring your assumption into manifestation. You are planting the seed in the most fertile soil imaginable, and when you wake, you may not notice any immediate change, but the seed has been planted. The process has begun. There is another technique I want to share with you, one that is particularly powerful when you have multiple desires or when your mind resists the specifics. I call it the "Isn't it wonderful?" technique after the woman whose story I told you earlier. This technique requires no scene building. You simply repeat inwardly with feeling the phrase, "Isn't it wonderful? Something marvelous is happening to me right now." Do not try to determine what the wonderful thing is. Do not specify or direct. Simply feel the reality of wonder, the truth of something beautiful unfolding in your life. This phrase works because it captures the essence of fulfillment without limiting how fulfillment will come. It trusts the infinite intelligence of the subconscious to select the means. And the subconscious, which knows your deepest needs far better than your conscious mind ever could, will bring forth exactly what you require, often in ways that far exceed what you would have chosen for yourself. Use this phrase each night as you fall asleep, or use it throughout the day. Whenever you notice doubt or fear or worry arising, it is a powerful redirection. In an instant, it shifts you from the state of lack to the state of fulfillment. From the feeling of "I don't have enough" to the feeling of "something wonderful is happening right now." Practice this for at least 2 months without concern for results. I know this may seem long. I know you want your manifestation now, but you are planting a seed and seeds grow in their own time. Do not dig up the seed to check on its progress. Do not worry whether it is working. Trust the law. It has never failed. It cannot fail. It is as reliable as the sunrise. There is one more practice I want to give you, and it concerns your inner speech. This is the voice that narrates your life. The private conversations you hold with yourself from morning to night. Most people are completely unconscious of their inner speech. They let it run on automatic, repeating the same worries, the same self-limiting stories over and over again. But inner speech is creative. It is the tongue that sets on fire the course of nature. It is the helm that steers the ship. What you say to yourself in the privacy of your mind becomes the fabric of your world. For one day, I want you to simply observe your inner speech about money. What do you say to yourself when you see a bill arrive in the mail? What do you tell yourself when you hear of someone else's success? What story do you repeat about your financial future? Listen without judgment. You are not trying to change anything yet. You are simply becoming aware of what you have been unconsciously creating. Once you have observed your inner speech, you will likely notice phrases that imply lack. "I can't afford that." "Money is always tight." "I'll never get ahead." "The rich get richer and the poor get poorer." These phrases are not neutral observations. They are commands. They are decrees. They are seeds planted in the fertile ground of your subconscious, and they are producing exactly the harvest you would expect. Now consciously replace these phrases. Construct new inner conversation that imply the wish fulfilled. I always have more than enough. Wealth flows to me naturally. I am grateful for my abundant life. Money comes to me easily and joyfully. These new phrases may feel strange at first, even dishonest. But remember what I have taught you. An assumption, though false if persisted in, will harden into fact. You are not lying to yourself. You are creating yourself. You are using the creative power of inner speech to weave a new tapestry. Whenever you catch yourself in the old speech, stop. Do not berate yourself. Simply revise. Speak inwardly as though your wealth is already fact. Over time, and this will happen more quickly than you expect, this new speech will become habitual, and habit is destiny. Your inner speech will change, your feelings will change, your assumptions will change, and your world will change. These are the practices. They are simple. They do not require money or special equipment or permission from anyone. They require only your imagination and your persistence. And with these two things, you can transform your world from a barren waste to a fertile field of your own choosing. Now, let me speak to you about something that may be troubling you. You may be wondering, if this law is so powerful, why doesn't everyone use it? Why isn't everyone wealthy? Why do so many people struggle in poverty while a few seem to have everything? These are reasonable questions. Let me answer them. First, most people do not know the law. They have never been taught it. They have been raised to believe that the outer world is cause, and they are effect. That circumstances create their feelings rather than the other way around. This is the great inversion that keeps humanity in bondage. Until someone understands that consciousness is cause and the outer world is effect, they cannot use the law deliberately. They are using it unconsciously all the time, creating their lives through their assumptions without realizing they are doing so. But they cannot use it purposefully. Second, even among those who know the law, many do not apply it. They find it interesting. They agree with it theoretically, but they do not actually practice it. They continue to hope and wish and work and worry as they always have. The information goes into their heads but not into their hearts. It becomes another piece stored away rather than a lived experience that transforms their days. Third, and this is the most subtle obstacle, the law requires a kind of psychological death and resurrection. To assume a new state is to die to the old state. To feel yourself wealthy is to cease feeling yourself poor. And this death, this letting go of the familiar, is frightening to many people. They have identified so completely with their problems and their lack that they do not know who they would be without them. They cling to their poverty like a familiar garment, even as they complain about it. This is why I say that assumption is not for the faint of heart. It requires courage. It requires the willingness to leave behind everything you have believed about yourself. It requires faith, not faith in something outside yourself, but faith in the creative power of your own consciousness. And it requires persistence, the patient daily practice if want to feel being what you want to be, even when the outer world has not yet caught up. But I tell you, the rewards are beyond anything you can imagine. To discover that you are the operant power, that you have been creating your world all along, that you can create a different world simply by assuming a different state. This is liberation. This is salvation. This is the pearl of great price for which a man will sell all he has. And the beauty of the law is that it does not discriminate. It does not care who you are or where you come from or what you have done. It does not favor the educated over the uneducated, the powerful over the powerless, the religious over the secular. It works for everyone who applies it. It is as impersonal as electricity. Plug in the lamp and light appears. Assume the feeling of the wish, fulfilled, and manifestation appears. Let me remind you of what you have learned tonight. You have learned that wealth is not something you get, but something you become. You have learned that the outer world is a mirror reflecting your inner assumptions. You have learned that the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret of creation. You have learned that your inner speech is constantly shaping your world. And you have learned practical techniques for assuming a new state of consciousness, the imaginal scene, the isn't it wonderful phrase, and the revision of inner speech. This is the law. It has always been the law. It will always be the law. You are not learning something new tonight. You are remembering something ancient. Something that has been hidden in plain sight within the scriptures and the teachings of every wise one who ever walked the earth. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. All things are possible to him who believes. Be still and know that I am God. These are not metaphors or poetry. They are precise instruction for the use of consciousness to create reality. The one lottery ticket is a symbol of the world's way. It represents hope invested in external chance. But you now know there is no external chance. There is only the infallible law of assumption. The ticket that wins every time is the assumption of a wish fulfilled. It costs nothing to purchase. It requires no luck to claim. It is available to you right now, tonight, in this very moment. So, let me leave you with this. You came to this teaching, holding a one lottery ticket in your hand, hoping that chance might favor you. But now you see that there is no chance. There is only consciousness. There is only assumption. There is only the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Planting seeds in the fertile ground of your subconscious, growing in darkness, emerging into light as your transformed world. The law has been given to you not as advice, not as suggestion, not as one option among many, as law, as certain as gravity, as inviolable as the rising of the sun. Your imagination is not fantasy. It is not escape. It is not daydreaming. It is the only reality. What you assume and persist in must become fact. This is the promise that cannot fail. You do not need to win a lottery. You do not need to receive an inheritance. You do not need to find a better job or marry a wealthy person or stumble upon a fortune. You need to become the consciousness of wealth. And you become it not by working harder, not by hoping more sincerely, not by deserving it through suffering, but by feeling yourself now to be what you desire to be. Tonight, when you close your eyes, do not fall asleep in the old. Do not carry into sleep the worries about bills, the fears about the future, the familiar feelings of lack. Instead, choose a new garment. Put on the robes of abundance. Feel yourself to be wealthy. Hear the inner speech of one who has all they need. See the world through the eyes of one who is blessed. And if doubt arises, and it will, for the old habits are strong, do not fight it. Simply return to the feeling. Do not argue with the gadget in debate. Simply shift your attention to the wish fulfilled. Feel it, be it, and the doubt will fade. Starved of the attention it needs to survive. Persist, night after night, return to this state. Morning after morning, wake with the feeling of abundance. Throughout the day, catch your inner speech and revise it. This is not work. It is not burden. It is the most natural thing in the world. The assuming of your true identity as one who is wealthy, who is blessed, who is overflowing with good. And then watch. Watch as the bridge of incidents begins to appear. Watch as people enter your life with opportunities and gifts. Watch as doors open that were previously invisible to you. Watch as circumstances rearrange themselves to match your new assumption. This is not magic. This is law. It is as predictable as the harvest that follows, the planting of the seed. Before I close, let me share with you a few more illustrations of this law in action. For I know that stories plant themselves in the mind far more deeply than principles alone. These are true accounts from those who have applied what I teach, and they will show you the infinity of ways that assumption flowers into fact. There was a man who worked in a bank for many years. He had risen as high as he could rise in that institution. He asked for advancement and was told frankly that no major improvement was possible. If he was dissatisfied, they said, he could seek employment elsewhere. But this man had no great desire for enormous wealth. What he wanted was a substantial income that would allow him to maintain his home comfortably and provide for the education of his children in good schools. This he found impossible on his present salary. The refusal of the bank to advance him filled him with discontent and an intense desire for a better position. When he came to me, I explained the law of assumption. I told him that his present situation was only a manifestation of his concept of himself, and that if he wanted to change his circumstances, he must first change that concept. I asked him what kind of position he would truly love. He thought for a moment and then said that what he wanted more than anything was to manage investment funds for a great institution, a foundation or a major university. That was his ideal. I gave him this instruction. Every night just before falling asleep, he was to feel himself retiring at the end of one of the most important and successful days of his life. He was to imagine that he had actually closed a deal that very day to join exactly the kind of organization he yearned for in exactly the capacity he wanted. He was to feel the relief, the satisfaction, the gratitude of a man whose desire had been fulfilled. This was the first week of December. Night after night, without exception, he followed this practice. He would lie in bed, feel the mattress beneath him, and imagine that the day just ending had been the day of his great breakthrough. He felt the contentment that comes with fulfillment. He spoke inwardly as one whose career had taken a magnificent turn. Early in February, just 2 months later, a director of one of the wealthiest foundations in the world contacted this man. The director asked if he would be interested in joining the foundation in an executive capacity, handling their investments. After brief discussion, he accepted. Today, at a substantially higher income than he ever earned at the bank with the assurance of steady progress, this man occupies a position far exceeding all that he had hoped for. Now I want you to notice something about this story. The man did not send applications to foundations. He did not network or lobby or seek introductions to directors. He simply assumed night after night that he had already become what he wished to be, and the outer world rearranged itself to fulfill that assumption. The director who reached out to him was a stranger before that call. The foundation had not been seeking him, and yet the connection was made. The offer was extended, and the man's life was transformed. This is how the law works. It does not require you to figure out the how. It does not ask you to identify the right people or the right opportunities. It simply asks you to occupy the state of the wish, fulfilled, and trust the subconscious to construct the bridge. Let me give you another illustration. There was a devoted couple, husband and wife, who had attended my lectures for years. Their life together was completely happy, free from any serious problems. But for some time, they had wanted to move into a larger apartment. Month after month, they looked at listings, visited buildings, and found nothing that met their needs at a price they could afford. They began to grow discouraged. Then they decided to apply the law together. Each night before sleep, they would imagine themselves already living in their new spacious apartment. They did not know what this apartment looked like or where it was located. They simply felt the reality of being there. The husband would imagine himself walking through the rooms, admiring the space. The wife would imagine herself arranging furniture and welcoming guests. They felt the satisfaction of having found exactly what they wanted. Within a few weeks, they learned of an apartment that had just become available in their preferred neighborhood. The price was within their budget. The space was everything they had imagined. They moved in with a sense of wonder, recognizing that their persistent assumption had drawn this home to them. But here is the detail that moved me most. After they had been living in this new apartment for some time, the husband told me that during their search, they had actually passed by this building many times without ever noticing the vacancy sign. It was as if the apartment had been invisible to them until their assumption made it visible. The outer world conforms to the inner vision. What you are not prepared to receive, you cannot see. Change your inner assumption, and you will suddenly perceive opportunities that were always there but were hidden from your sight. I share these stories because I want you to understand that the law applies to every area of life, not just to money in the obvious sense. It applies to career, to home, to relationships, to health, to every condition you can imagine. The same principle that creates financial abundance creates every other form of abundance. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between different categories of desire. It simply accepts the assumption and goes to work manifesting it. Now, let me speak about something that often troubles those who begin to practice this teaching. They worry about doubt. They fear that a single moment of skepticism will undo all their work, that the slightest wavering will destroy their manifestation. This fear is unfounded, and I want to put your mind at rest. Doubt is natural. It arises because you have spent your entire life believing in the supremacy of the outer world. You have been trained since childhood to accept the evidence of your senses as the final reality. When you begin to assume a new state to feel yourself wealthy while your bank account says otherwise, the old conditioning pushes back. Doubt arises. Skepticism whispers in your ear, "This is foolish." It says this is make-believe. Look at this acts. When this happens, do not panic. Do not conclude that you have failed or that the law will not work for you. Simply notice the doubt and then gently return your attention to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You are not fighting doubt. You are not wrestling with it. You are simply redirecting your attention. Where attention goes, energy flows. Every time you return to the feeling of fulfillment, you strengthen that pattern. Every time you choose the new assumption over the old fear, you make the new assumption more natural. The subconscious mind is impressed by persistence, not perfection. You do not need to hold the feeling of the wish fulfilled every single moment of every single day. That would be impossible. What matters is the dominant state, the state you return to most often, the state you fall asleep in at night, the state that characterizes the overall tone of your consciousness. If that dominant state is one of abundance, your world will reflect abundance, even if occasional doubts during the day. Think of it this way. Imagine you are walking toward a destination. Occasionally you stumble. Occasionally you veer off course. But as long as you keep returning to the path, as long as you keep moving in the right direction, you will eventually arrive. The stumbles do not prevent your arrival. They only delay it if you let them stop you entirely. So it is with assumption. The occasional doubt does not prevent your manifestation. It only delays it if you let the doubt become your dominant state. Return to the feeling. Return again and again and you will arrive. Let me also address another concern that arises for many. They wonder if this teaching is selfish. Is it wrong to desire wealth? Is it spiritual to want abundance? Should they not be content with what they have rather than seeking more? I answer this way. Desire is not wrong. Desire is the mainspring of the mental machinery. It is a blessed thing, a right and natural craving. What makes desire problematic is when it is unexamined, when it leads us to harm others, when it consumes us with anxiety and grasping. But the desire for abundance, for freedom, for security, for the ability to care for loved ones, for the power to do good in the world, this is a noble desire. The teaching I offer is not about greed. It is about alignment. It is about recognizing that you are creative, being made in the image of the Creator, and that your imagination is meant to be used. When you assume the state of abundance, you are not taking from anyone. Wealth is not a fixed pie that diminishes when someone takes a slice. Wealth is created by consciousness. When you assume abundance, you create abundance not just for yourself but for all who are touched by your expanded life. Furthermore, consider this. A person who feels poor, who is constantly worried about money, who is trapped in the consciousness of lack. This person has little to give. They are too consumed by their own struggle to be generous, to be helpful, to be of service. But a person who feels abundant, who is secure in the knowledge that they are provided for, who is moved beyond the fear of not having enough, this person is free to give, to serve, to bless others. Abundance is not opposed to spirituality. Abundance enables a greater expression of spirituality. So do not feel guilty for desiring wealth. Feel grateful that you have a desire, for desire is the beginning of all creation. Feel grateful that you now know how to fulfill that desire, not through grasping and striving, but through assumption and trust. Now let me give you one more technique, one that I have found particularly powerful for those who carry old wounds around money. Many people have experienced lack in their past. They have known hunger or homelessness, or the shame of not being able to pay bills. These experiences have left impressions on the subconscious mind, deep grooves of fear and unworthiness that continue to shape their present reality. The technique I am about to share is called revision. It is a way of changing the past. Not literally, not in the historical record, but in the psychological realm where it truly matters. Here is how revision works. Before you sleep, review the day that has just ended. If there was any event that disturbed you, any moment when you felt lack or fear or unworthiness, reconstruct that event in your imagination as you wished it had happened. If a bill arrived and you felt a surge of panic, revise the scene. See yourself opening the envelope with calm. Feel the confidence of one who knows they are abundantly provided for. If someone made a remark that triggered old feelings of poverty, revise their words. Hear them saying something supportive and encouraging instead. You can also apply revision to older memories. If you carry a particular painful memory around money, a time of humiliation or desperation, go back to that memory in imagination and rewrite it. See it, feel it ending well. You are not denying that the original event happened. You are changing your relationship to it. You are releasing its hold on your subconscious. This practice may seem strange, even impossible. How can you change what has already happened? But remember what I have taught you. The outer world is a reflection of the inner world. The past that shapes your present is not the historical past, but the psychological past. The memory as it lives in your consciousness. Change the memory and you change its influence on your present state. Change your present state and you change your future. Revision is a kind of pruning. Just as a vine must be pruned of useless branches to produce the best fruit, so your consciousness must be pruned of limiting memories and painful associations. Revision is the pruning shears. Use it to cut away everything that does not support your new assumption of abundance. Now I want to speak about something very important. I want to speak about the role of faith. Not faith as the world understands it. Not faith in an external God who may or may not choose to bless you. I mean faith in the law itself. Faith in the creative power of your own imagination. Faith that what you assume must manifest. This kind of faith is essential. Without it, you will practice the techniques half-heartedly, wondering if they work, already preparing yourself for failure. With it, you will assume your new state with absolute conviction, knowing that the law cannot fail, that your manifestation is as certain as tomorrow's sunrise. How do you develop this faith? You develop it through testing. You begin with small things. Things that carry no great emotional charge. Things that you can easily believe are possible. A free cup of coffee. A parking space near the entrance. An unexpected compliment. Assume these small things. Feel the reality of having them, and then watch them manifest. Each small manifestation builds your faith. Each success teaches you that the law is real, that it works, that you can depend on it. As your faith grows, you can assume larger and larger things. The money you need, the home you want, the life you dream of. But start small. Build the muscle of assumption through practice. Let each manifestation be a stepping stone to the next. I want to remind you of something crucial about the nature of assumption. When I tell you to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, I am not telling you to pretend. I am not asking you to lie to yourself. I am asking you to recognize a deeper truth, that the wish fulfilled already exists as a state of consciousness, that it is as real as any other state, and that by occupying it you are not pretending to be what you are not, but choosing to be what you could be. Every state of consciousness is. Poverty is a real state. Wealth is a real state. Fear is a real state. Confidence is a real state. These states are not invented by your mind. They are discovered by it. They exist as possibilities waiting to be occupied. When you assume the state of wealth, you are not creating a fiction. You are entering a reality that already exists and claiming it as your own. Think of it like tuning a radio. The radio does not create the music. The music is already broadcasting, filling the air with invisible waves. The radio simply tunes to the frequency and receives what was always there. So it is with states of consciousness. The state of wealth is already broadcasting. The state of abundance is already real. You do not create it. You tune to it. You adjust your inner dial until you resonate with the frequency of wealth. And then you receive what was always there waiting for you to claim it. This understanding removes the burden of pretense. You are not pretending to be wealthy while secretly knowing you are poor. You are recognizing that wealthy and poor are both states, both frequencies, both possible realities, and you are choosing to occupy one rather than the other. This is the sovereign choice of a creative being. This is the exercise of the power that was given to you at birth. Let me also address a question that sometimes arises. People ask me, if I assume wealth, am I manipulating others? Am I forcing the universe to give me things that perhaps should go to someone else? This concern comes from a misunderstanding of how the law works. You do not manipulate others when you assume a state. You do not take from others or deprive them of anything. The law works through resonance, through the rearrangement of circumstances to match your consciousness. When you assume wealth, you are not commanding specific people to give you money. You are simply occupying a state, and the subconscious mind connected to infinite intelligence finds the path of least resistance to manifest that state in your world. Sometimes that path involves other people who freely choose to participate. The friend who sends a gift, the stranger who offers an opportunity, the old acquaintance who decides to share their fortune. These people act from their own states of consciousness. They give freely because giving feels right to them. You have not controlled their minds or overridden their wills. You have simply created the conditions in which their natural generosity finds its expression. This is why I say there's no need to feel guilty about using the law. You are not manipulating the universe. You are aligning with it. You are not bending reality to your will. You are allowing reality to express through you in a new form. The universe is infinitely abundant. There is more than enough for everyone. When you assume wealth, you are claiming your portion of that infinite abundance, not stealing from someone else's share. Now, let me speak about the relationship between assumption and action. I have told you that you do not need to know the how that the subconscious will construct the bridge of incidents. But I have also told you that when the bridge appears, you must cross it. Some people become confused by this. They think that assumption means sitting at home doing nothing, waiting for money to fall from the sky. This is not what I snap passivity. It is the creative act that precedes and determines all other acts. When you assume the state of wealth, you will naturally begin to act like a wealthy person. Not in the sense of spending money you do not have, but in the sense of carrying yourself with confidence, making decisions from security rather than fear, seeing opportunities rather than obstacles. An action will be required. When an opportunity presents itself, when the phone rings with an unexpected offer, when a friend mentions an opening, when an idea occurs to you that seems promising, you must act. This action is not separate from the assumption. It is the completion of the assumption. The inner work creates the opportunity. The outer action seizes it. Think of it this way. When you plant a seed, you must also tend the garden. You must water the seed, protect it from pests, give it sunlight. These actions do not contradict the law of growth. They cooperate with it. So it is with assumption. You assume the state. You feel the reality of the wish fulfilled. And then when life presents the next step, you take it. The assumption and the action work together. Two halves of a single creative process. The difference between the enlightened and the unenlightened is not whether they act, but from what state they act. The unenlightened acts from a state of lack, striving and struggling, hoping that action will produce what they do not have. The enlightened acts from a state of fulfillment, moving with confidence and ease, knowing that the outcome is already assured. Both take action, but the quality of that action and its results are entirely different. Let me also say a word about patience. I know you want results quickly. I know the idea of practicing assumption for months without visible progress seems daunting. But I ask you to consider the alternative. You have been living in the state of lack for years, perhaps decades. That state has been building your world every single day. Can you undo years of programming in a single night? Can you transform a consciousness that has been shaped by thousands of repetitions with a single imaginal act? Sometimes transformation happens quickly. Sometimes the bridge of incidence appears almost immediately, and manifestation follows within days or weeks. I have seen this happen many times. But sometimes the transformation requires patience. Sometimes the seed needs more time to grow. Sometimes the subconscious is working behind the scenes, arranging circumstances that you cannot see. And the manifestation will come all at once, dramatically, unexpectedly. Do not judge your progress by the outer world. The outer world is always the last to change. It is like the rear car of a train. It follows where the engine leads, but with a delay. Your consciousness is the engine. When you change your consciousness, you change the direction of the train. But the rear car, the outer world, takes time to respond. It is still moving in the old direction by momentum. Be patient. Keep your attention on the engine, on your assumption, on the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The outer world will catch up. It has no choice. I have given you everything I know about this subject. Tonight, I have held nothing back. The same truth that transformed my life when Abdullah taught it to me. The same truth that has transformed the lives of countless men and women who have applied. It is now in your hands. But before I close, let me address one final matter that weighs on the hearts of many who hear this teaching. They ask, what about the suffering in the world? If consciousness creates reality, does that mean the poor have chosen their poverty? Does that mean the suffering deserve their suffering? This is a profound question, and I want to answer it with the care it deserves. The law I teach is impersonal. It does not judge. It does not punish. It simply operates like gravity, like the growth of seeds. Those who suffer do not suffer as punishment for some moral failing. They suffer because they, like all of us, have been conditioned into states of consciousness that manifest as suffering. They were not taught what I am teaching you tonight. They inherited beliefs from parents, from culture, from religion, from circumstances. They did not choose these beliefs consciously. They absorbed them unconsciously. And those unconscious assumptions have been creating their world. This understanding should not lead you to look down upon anyone. It should lead you to compassion, for you were once in the same position. You are unconsciously creating lack, unconsciously living in states that manifested as limitation. The only difference between you and someone still trapped in those states is knowledge. Knowledge of the law and how to apply it. What can you do for others? You can share this teaching with those who are ready to hear it. You can live as an example of what is possible. You can, through your own assumption, hold a vision of others in their highest state. Remember, everyone is you pushed out. When you see others through the eyes of their potential, when you assume the best for them in your imagination, you are contributing to their awakening. You cannot force anyone to change their state, but you can hold a space in which their change becomes easier. This is the true meaning of prayer properly understood. Prayer is not begging an external God to change circumstances. Prayer is assuming in imagination the state you desire for yourself or for another. When you pray for someone's prosperity, you do not plead with a distant deity. You see that person in imagination as prosperous. You feel the reality of their abundance. You hold that assumption with faith and persistence, and the law responds, finding channels through which that assumption can manifest in their experience. This is why the Bible says that whatever you ask in prayer, believing you have received it, it will be yours. The key word is believing you have received it, not hoping you will receive it, not wishing for it someday. Believing you have received it now. This is assumption. This is the creative act. This is the only prayer that God, the God that is your own I am, answers. Let me now bring all of this together. You came to this teaching tonight with a question in your heart. How can I transform my financial life? How can I break free from the patterns of lack that have held me for so long? How can I turn a simple lottery ticket into a fortune? I have shown you that the lottery ticket is a symbol. It represents the world's approach to wealth. An approach based on chance, on luck, on external forces beyond your control. But you now know that there are no external forces. There is only consciousness. There is only assumption. There is only the feeling of the wish fulfilled, impressed upon the subconscious mind, growing in the darkness of the unseen and emerging into the light as your transformed circumstances. You do not need to win a lottery. You need to become the state of wealth. And you become that state through have given you tonight. The imaginal scene that implies your wish is fulfilled. The drowsy state that opens the door to the subconscious. The phrase, "Isn't it wonderful?" that captures the essence of fulfillment without limiting its expression. The revision of inner speech that changes the commands you are constantly giving to your creative power. The patience and persistence that allow the seed to grow in its own time. These are not complicated techniques. They do not require special abilities or rare gifts. They require only your imagination. That imagination that you have been using unconsciously all your life. That imagination that is the very God of the Scriptures. That imagination that now can be used consciously, deliberately for the fulfilling of your desires. The law has been given to you not as advice that you might consider, not as a suggestion that you might try when you have exhausted other options, not as one philosophy among many that you might add to your collection of interesting ideas. I give you this as law as certain as the law of gravity, as reliable as the rising of the sun. Your imagination is creative. What you assume must manifest. There is no exception. There is no one for whom this law does not work. There is only the question of whether you will apply it. You now hold in your hands the ticket that wins every time. It is not made of paper. It was not purchased at a store. It is your consciousness assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is your imagination clothing the I am in the garments of abundance. It is you choosing tonight to occupy a new state and to persist in that state until it hardens into fact. You are not poor. You have never been poor. You have only been wearing the garments of poverty, believing they were your skin, believing you could not take them off. But they are only garments. Tonight you can remove them. Tonight you can put on the royal robes of abundance, the golden vestments of the kingdom that is yours by right of birth. For you are made in the image and likeness of God. And God is the I am that creates worlds. You are that I am expressed in human form, given the power to shape your experience through the creative act of assumption. This is your birthright. This is your destiny. This is the truth that was hidden in the scriptures, waiting for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. Tonight, when you close your eyes, remember what I have taught you. Do not fall asleep in the old state. Do not carry into sleep the worries about money, the fears about the future, the familiar feelings of not having enough. These are the garments of the past. Leave them on the floor beside your bed. Put on new garments. The garments of abundance, of security, of overflowing good. Feel yourself wealthy. Not someday now. Feel the reality of having all that you need and more. Feel the relief, the joy, the quiet confidence of one who is completely provided for. Let this feeling fill your consciousness. Let it saturate every cell of your being. Let it become more real than the room in which you lie. And if doubt arises, do not fight it. Simply return your attention to the feeling. Return again and again. The doubt will fade. The new feeling will strengthen. And in time, perhaps sooner than you expect, the outer world will catch up. Opportunities will appear. Resources will flow. Circumstances will rearrange themselves to match the reality you have assumed within. This is the law. This is the promise. This is the secret that has been hidden in plain sight for all who have the courage to claim it. If what you have heard tonight has touched something within you, if you feel the stirring of your true self, the awakening of the creative power that has always been yours, then you are ready. Plant your seed tonight. Water it with thanksgiving. Guard it with persistence and watch the harvest appear in ways that will astonish the unenlightened and confirm to you beyond all doubt that imagination is the only reality. If this teaching has awakened you, if it has given you not hope in chance but faith in law, I invite you to leave a word below. Tell me what you will assume tonight. Tell me what state you will occupy. Share with others who may be listening the transformation that is beginning in your heart. And if you desire to continue this journey with me, to go deeper into these truths, to master the creative power of your own consciousness, then subscribe to this channel. There is so much more to explore. The law of assumption is just the beginning. Beyond it lies the promise, the mystical awakening to you, nature, as the God who dreamed this world into being. But that is a teaching for another night. For now, go in the certainty that you are not a victim of circumstance. Go in the knowledge that you are the operant power in your world. Go and become what you truly are. The I am that creates, the consciousness that shapes, the imagination that builds worlds. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled tonight. Fall asleep clothed in the garments of abundance, and let the law work its wonders. Let the subconscious construct its bridge. Let the harvest grow from the seed you plant in these midnight hours. The lottery of assumption never fails. Everyone who plays wins. Everyone who assumes receives. Everyone who persists manifests. This is not hope. This is not speculation. This is the law of your being, as certain and impersonal as the force that holds the planets in their orbits. You now have the ticket. The ticket that costs nothing to purchase. The ticket that requires no luck to redeem. The ticket that transforms every player into a winner. Use it, and may the good that you assume for yourself overflow into the lives of all you touch. Go in peace, go in power. Go in the certainty of the wish fulfilled. I am with you. The law is with you. And there is nothing you cannot be. Nothing you cannot have. Nothing you cannot accomplish. When you learn to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, good night and good fortune. The fortune that's not from chance but from consciousness. Not from luck but from law. Not from hoping but from assuming. It is done. It is finished. Your new life begins tonight. The same truth that transformed my life is now in your hands. The same law that has created fortunes for those who have applied it is now available to you. The question is not whether it works. The question is whether you will use it. You are not poor. You have simply been wearing the garment of poverty. Tonight you take off that old garment. Tonight you clothe yourself in abundance. Tonight you become the I am of wealth, and your world must reflect what I am. If what you have heard tonight has touched something within you, if you feel the stirring of your true self, the awakening of the creative power you have always possessed, then you are ready. Plant your seed tonight. Water it with thanksgiving. Guard it with persistence, and watch the harvest appear in ways that will astonish the unenlightened and confirm to you beyond all doubt that imagination is the only reality. If this teaching has awakened you, if it has given you hope not in chance but in law, I invite you to leave a word below. Tell me what you will assume tonight. Share with others what you have discovered. And if you desire to continue this journey with me to go deeper into these truths, to master the creative power of your own consciousness, then subscribe to this channel. There is much more to learn. There are depths to explore that we have only touched upon tonight. Go now. Go in the certainty that you are not a victim of circumstance. Go in the knowledge that you are the operant power in your world. Go and become what you truly are. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled tonight. Fall asleep clothed in the garments of abundance, and let the law work its wonders. The lottery of assumption never fails. Everyone who plays wins. The only question is whether you will play. You now have the ticket. Use it. Thank you.